Okay, who can tell me what is the biggest bird in the world?
The ostrich.
And Mason, can you tell me how big an ostrich egg is? They're big, aren't they? Okay, now who can tell me what's the smallest bird in the world? Mason.
A hummingbird.
How big is a hummingbird? Pretty little, isn't it? How big is a hummingbird egg? Okay, I'm going to show you how big a hummingbird egg is. You want to come up and look? Can you believe an egg is that little? That's pretty little, isn't it? Yeah. Do you know how big a hummingbird nest is?
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be very big with such tiny eggs, does it? Just tiny, like a thimble maybe.
Like this.
Very tiny.
Like this big.
Even smaller. That's small. Okay, you can sit down. Thank you.
Can we keep?
No, I don't want you to keep them because you might put them in your ears.
Like earplugs.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story about a hummingbird. A long time ago, about 15 years ago or so, maybe even more, there was a little boy named Grant, and he went over to visit his grandma and grandpa over in Goldendale. They lived out in the country, and they had a house with great big windows in it, and the birds couldn't seem to see themselves very well. And one day, okay, will you sit down, please? Thank you. One day, all of a sudden, a little hummingbird came smack and smacked right into one of those big glass windows. That little hummingbird just fell right down onto the deck. And its neck was all over to one side like this, and it looked like it was dead. And Grandma and Grandpa and Grant went rushing out on the deck, and they looked at that poor little hummingbird, and Grant got tears in his eyes, and he said, "Oh no, poor hummingbird." Grandma went in the house, and she got a little shoebox and put some soft tissue paper in it, and they picked up the little hummingbird and laid it very carefully in the box. And it was hardly breathing, just one little tiny breath and another little tiny breath, and its eyes were closed, and it looked like it was dying. Grandma and Grandpa stood there, and they didn't know what to do, and Grant had tears in his eyes, and Grandma said, "You know, I think we might as well just go and bury that poor little hummingbird because it's just so miserable." And Grant said, No, you can't do that." "Well, what should we do?" "Let's ask Jesus. Jesus will help the hummingbird." "Grandma, pray." And Grandma's thinking, "Oh, dear Lord, please answer this little boy's prayer. This poor dead little hummingbird." But Grandma prayed and said, "Dear Jesus, please help this little hummingbird. We know that you love hummingbirds and that you love all creatures. Amen." And they sat there, and you know what happened? That little hummingbird just went up and zoom, and off it flew as fast as it could, landed on a branch not very far away, and looked down and went chirp, chirp, like he was saying, "What have you been doing to me?" Does Jesus care about hummingbirds? Does he care about little boys? He does. He cares about little boys and little girls, and he cares about grandmas and grandpas too. So let's always remember that Jesus cares and he loves us. You can go quietly back to your seats now.